want to apologise for the lack of videos lately. I have been feeling really down and demotivated, but then I saw how many of you guys are supporting me and I just felt so loved, so thank you so much. And I will be doing a extra special giveaway for all of my customers as a big thank you, so keep an eye out for that on my Instagram, which is linked down below. So yeah, the lack of videos is mostly because of the fact that it takes a long time for me to edit the videos, because I do struggle to communicate and explain things, even though that's mostly what my channel is about, and I'm so sorry, but I try my best, and because of this I have to edit my videos like constantly, so that's why it's been taking a little bit longer than I would like, but I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things. And remember to keep an eye on my Instagrams and stuff like that, just to stay updated on the latest things that's going on, especially with my business. So this video is about furring the head. This is part 1. So in one of my previous videos we did nose and the patterning, all of that kind of stuff. So in this video we are taking the patterns and making the fur and pinning the fur on, and the steps that I go through for that. But before we get into this video, I'd like to sponsor myself. Yes. So this week's little sponsory thing is about the toe guards that I have been making for my new roller skates, which I made a video on, and I do have a separate Instagram account on. It's Broken Skater Girls, and these toe guards are, some of them are on my Etsy. You can build your own. I've been doing customs and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just practicing all kind of different things to go about it. So if you would like to buy some for a really cheap price, then definitely go message me and we'll sort something out. So now that's said and done, let's get on to the video. As you can see here, the nose is done. If you want to know how to do the nose, I do have a separate video on that. The mouth lining is not done yet, but what I want to do is sew everything up together first. You can do it either way around. Normally I would do the mouth lining first, but for some reason this time I've got to wait for some more fabric, because I want to use the best fabric I have for the mouth lining. This is going to be 2D eyes, so I will do a 2D eyes video. And as you can tell, so far I've done the white fabric. Now this is just because I wasn't going to make a video, but then I decided to. But it's all of the same steps, it's just with a different colour fur, and it hasn't been put down yet. But as you can see, the fur goes further up. This is so when you're gluing it down, you glue around the outer edge of the nose, not the inside, so the nose stays squishy and soft without the hard glue taking that away. Also, you want to make sure that the fur is long enough as well, for the fact that if your patterned fur doesn't quite cover up right up to the mark, at least you don't have any foam showing through. So it's just a safeguard, as well as making sure that you have enough space to put hot glue down. Yeah, none of these have been put down, but they have had their notches sewn together by notches. So in the patterning video, which I do have, you create notches so that your pattern from a curve becomes flat, so that you can draw around it without distorting the shape when it comes onto the head. I like to keep the ears a kind of separate pattern, because you do have to add seam allowance and stuff to counter the fact that there are deep curves that the tape cannot sometimes grasp. I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but basically you need to add a bit more seam allowance. So first things first, sorting out the pattern pieces, putting them in colour order. I already done the white, so I'm pretty sure the rest of it's teal. So let's say I've done that. I'm separating the ear fur from the head fur. Let's say we've done that. And then we are going to basically get each piece separately and start cutting out the fur. So let's go do that. So what I'm doing now is just matching up the numbers to where each piece goes, which I did in my patterning video. just so I can figure out which pieces are the ears and which pieces are not the ears. Okay, so now I have all of the teal pieces for the head. I'm just going to move that out of the way. And now what we're going to do is we are going to trace around the pattern. Now, because I did the pattern as half the head, what I will need to do is place the pattern down on the fabric, go around it, and then flip it for the other side of the head. If you don't flip it, when you go to put it on the head, one bit will have the fur facing down, whereas you want the fur out of the head, if that makes sense. So make sure you flip it if you do half the head. If you did the whole head because it's got uneven markings, or you're not sure if the head is even, or you just feel more comfortable doing the full head just to make sure, then what you can do is just place each piece down. Make sure the piece with the paper side is facing you when you place it down, and you do not need to flip it because you can just use your next piece and place that down and go around that. Okay, so this is a fabric I have. It looks more blue on the camera, but it's a kind of like a mint green, and it's a really lovely piece of fur. I got it off Furry Tailors. So basically they get a bulk load of fur from the US and they charge you a certain amount, so you don't have to pay such a huge amount for shipping, which is really amazing and helpful, because I didn't want the price to be so high for the customer because they specifically needed it to go with the other parts they already have. And you want to keep the color consistent, so you want to take note of the fur direction every single time. I always have the fur direction facing me, so that way I know every time if I have to come back to it, that kind of thing. So I'm using washers instead of pattern weights. You want to make sure you get some heavy washers, because you don't want to get a load of just normal washers that aren't weighted. But these are the cheap version, or if you want to support a small business or have some really pretty ones, then I recommend pattern weights because they can look so beautiful. So what you want to do is you want to get your piece, look at the fur direction that you've marked on your piece, like in the video. Then you want to place your piece. Now with the fur you have a kind of dotted line or an area with like matted fur. If your fur doesn't have this, don't worry, it might just be because it's a different cut, or a scrap piece but a large one. But this, you do not want to cross this kind of barrier that is already placed here. This is just where it's like the end of the machines, so as it goes through it, well, it kind of gets all matted. It's not actually fur. I don't know if you guys can see here, like that's supposed to be this, but it's not. So you just want to avoid that. So normally it will have like a dotted line or something as a guide, and that's really helpful. Then what I like to do is put the fur to the one side, because I like to work on one bit at a time, because otherwise I do get overwhelmed. Now you're going to need some clippers. So we've got this. Now what we want to do is start the grooves. So preferably you want a thick thread. However, because it's going to be glued onto the head, and the glue is going to be a reinforcement, you can just use an ordinary sewing thread. So I use the Gertman brand because it's the best one that's worked for me and it does the job. And pick a colour that's as close to it as possible.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you want.
Okay, so before we get to showing the individual pieces together, sometimes you can run into a small problem where when you do a half a head, sometimes it's not perfectly even and it's really difficult to get it perfectly even, especially when you have to draw a line across that you cut. So, for example, on the back of the head, when I drew the line down for the end of the tape pattern, I didn't quite do it straight, which is why we have this gap here. So what I like to do before sewing everything together is to create a small tape pattern underneath.
Abrázame toda la noche, no nos queda mucho tiempo más. No quiero perder lo que queda.
Okay, so now that we have our pattern for this piece, all you have to do is do like you would the cheeks and that, is cut it out and pin it onto the head, ready to be sewn. Okay, so now that that's done, the final step is to sew everything together and get everything ready. Now at this point you can add the lining, or if you want to wait till afterwards, but you will need to add the lining before you glue the fur itself to the head. But it's completely up to you. I like to sew these bits together when I'm just chilling out in bed, because then I'm just, you know, getting it done whilst also chilling out. I'm going to do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video on what to do next, basically once you've done your pattern. And I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you have any questions, just ask and I'm always happy to answer them. Look out for part 2. Bye guys!
Encontrando vida.